Let's recite the Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. يا غريب كربلاء رزقنا الله في الدنيا زيارتكم وشفاعتكم في الدنيا والقبر وفي الآخرة. أما بعد يقول الله في محكم كتابه وقرآنه الكريم وقوله الحق. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فأما من يعمل خيرا يره وأما من يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره. صدق الله العلي العظيم. أفلح من يصلي على محمد وآل محمد. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If I could just make a quick request for anybody who's in the second room or even over here on the wall, let's come a little bit closer, and that way we can start to make room for those who will be coming in a few moments. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Our discussions have taken us into a fifth night where we are talking about the realities of some of the things that happen to us after death. And we left off last night talking about what exactly does the questioning in the grave look like, as well as what does the actual resurrection look like, right? And we mentioned the life-giving rain, we mentioned souls reuniting with bodies, we mentioned all of that. We didn't get to go into, of course, all of the details, but over the course of tonight and tomorrow night, I want to discuss a few more, if you could term it this way, heavy topics, right? And so these are going to be a little bit more requiring of your attention, inshallah. But I feel that these are enriching and they synthesize a lot of the different ayat that sometimes if you read them atomized or individualized, then you might come with a confused perspective of, okay, what exactly is going on? So we'll start off, inshallah, with Surah Al-Isra, ayahs number 13 and 14, where Allah Ta'ala makes mention of something called the ta'ir, alzamnahu fi unuqih. That there is something called the ta'ir, and we won't go into why it's called the ta'ir. Ta'ir just means bird, right? It means kind of the deeds, right? The deeds we have placed of everybody, fi unuqih, inside each person's neck. Now what this exactly means, this plays off of the concept that we have two angels, one sitting on the right, one sitting on the left, and they are recording the deeds that we do. And we'll look in a couple of moments what exactly this writing exactly entails. But for now, all you need to know is this book of deeds, quote unquote, that is around my neck, around each of our necks, is basically being recorded, sort of like a tape recorder back in the olden days, or a video cassette or something like that, where it's kind of being wound around a particular locus, okay? And that locus over here being our neck. So basically the visualization that you can kind of imagine here in this example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving is that as you do a deed, it kind of disappears and it immediately becomes wrapped around your neck. You can't see it because it's immediately just taken and being added. It's kind of something happening in live time. So we don't want to go too much into this. There's not really much to delve into when it comes to that exact ayah. But now we want to discuss how exactly are these books being written. There are a lot of ayat that say this whole entire time we were witnessing you, we were writing things down. And we'll come to one of those ayahs in particular after I explain this ayah. The ayah in question that I want to examine right now, our first ayah of examination in this presentation, is going to be from Surah Al-Jathiyah. And Surah Al-Jathiyah, the 45th surah, has two ayahs, ayah number 28 and number 29. For those of you who at home, or even right now, this is the only thing that I'll allow you to go and actually use your phones for if you want to just follow along in the Quran. Otherwise, if you're not using it for that, then we don't need to really be sending constant updates. I'm just at the mosque. 5 minutes later, yes, I'm still at the mosque. We don't need to be texting people, right? It's okay. They know where you are. But Surah 45, ayah number 28 and 29, what does the Quran say over there? It says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the day that you will be exposed, right? And you will be told, this is our book. You'll see every nation, وَتَرَى كُلَّ أُمَّةٍ جَاثِيَةٍ. You will see every nation on its knees, basically crawling on its knees, to its book. Now the title of this lecture is The Books of Deeds. There are multiple books we're going to be talking about today. This book over here being talked about in Surah Al-Jathiyah, ayah number 28, is the book of the Ummah that you were a part of. Meaning, you here in Texas or here in America, you have your own book being recorded about what you guys, and of course I'm part of America as well, so it's not just Texas, it's Michigan as well, and me too, that what America was doing, your deeds are being recorded and it's being documented of what exactly you reacted as times and situations changed. Everything is being recorded. And each and every single nation will come on its knees to its book. Today, the announcement will be made. Today, you will be given exactly what you have earned. This is our book, هذا كتابنا ينطق عليكم بالحق, and it will tell you everything with truth. إِنَّا كُنَّا نَسْتَنْسِخُ مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. This whole entire time, some translations over here for nastansikhu, it will say we were writing down. Thing is, there's a hadith called Hadith al-Lawh from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, where he says, are you people not Arabs? What's wrong with you? Don't you use the same words in your day-to-day language? Of course, you guys maybe aren't all Arabs, but the audience that the Imam was talking to. It says, don't you use nasakh in your day-to-day language as well? What does nasakh mean for anybody who's Arab here? It means to make a copy off of an original. In today's technology, probably the best technology to really, get this point across is not even a photocopier, it's a Xerox machine. If you say, hey, I'm going to Xerox you something, what's the idea that the person who you just told that to over the phone, that they're going to get? If there's an original, I'm going to be getting a scanned copy or a photocopy or whatever, something like that. Basically a copy of the original. But it's not, let's say for example, someone's watching this lecture online, or you guys are here watching me live, and if anybody over here is writing down notes, you're not watching me and taking notes. That wouldn't be the right word to use, nasakh. Nasakh would be that if there's already something written, and you're copying that already written thing down onto a separate piece of paper, or whatever you're writing down. That's what nasakh means. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, aren't you Arabs? Don't you say, make a copy of this? So what does that mean in your everyday language? Doesn't it mean make a copy of the original? If that's what it means in your everyday language, why are you making it mean something else in Surah 45, Ayah 29? He clearly brings this ayah into the discussion. So, the question now becomes, what exactly were the angels copying off of? Well, we have a clue over here. In the ayah, Allah says, Hada kitabuna. This is our book, as if to say, go, compare. Go ahead and compare. This is what we already had written down. See if your version differs even a little bit. Now, we'll come to the other ayah. And one ayah is enough to go and categorize that whole entire category of ayahs that say, oh, we're writing down what you do. And the ayah that Allama Tabatabai and his students bring up in their books when they're discussing this is Surah Yasin, ayah number 12. How many of us recite Surah Yasin on a regular-ish basis? Okay, it's okay if no one does. Maybe this is something that on Thursday nights you can start off by doing. There's also recommendations to recite this every night, right? If you recite Surah Yasin, there are many benefits in the akhirah. Surah Yasin, ayah number 12, what does it say? It says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, actually I don't want to misquote it, like how I did at the beginning of the presentation. I moved a couple of words. We'll come back to that ayah and I'll fix it, inshallah. That way I can atone for my sin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna nahnu nuhyi al-mawta, wa naktubu ma qaddamu wa atharahum, wa kulla shay'in ahsaynahu fi imamin mubin. Okay. This ayah says, Inna nahnu nuhyi al-mawta, wa naktubu ma qaddamu wa atharahum. I want to not look at the first couple of words. I want to look at wa naktubu ma qaddamu wa atharahum. That we were writing down what they actually did, as well as the after effects of what those deeds brought forward. Okay, naktubu does mean we were writing down, but does that contradict the understanding that we've just established of copying down? Yes or no? A shake or a nod of the head would be enough. No, right? It doesn't. You can be writing and still copying, so it's not a contradiction. Actually, this ayah will come and add to our understanding of what that ayah was saying, that this is our book. Remember I said that was the clue of what they were copying off of? Surah Yasin will give us the other clue and complete the puzzle for us. Allah says, وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. Every single thing we have encompassed in this thing called Imam Mubin. Now here, many translators will call this the clear book. Some Shīʿā translations will try to go and say that this is the Imam, right? And some people will go and even try to, when they're in bookstores, I remember this was a thing when I was a kid, I don't know about you guys. You guys even buy Qur'ans in stores anymore? Is everything through Amazon? Probably everything is through Amazon, right? So they used to go and just look into the books and see what does Surah 36, Ayah 12 say. If it says Imam, alright, great. If it says leader, wow, even better. But if it says book, now let's not go and buy that one, right? So let's settle this debate once and for all. Which one is it? Is it the human being, the Imam, or is it the book, the Imam? I'll put this disclaimer as well that we'll continue this discussion on this debate of whether it's a person or whether it's a book tomorrow, inshallah. And if I don't do it tomorrow, then we'll have a discussion about it tomorrow, inshallah, because this is really, really in-depth. But the at least primary answer, the prima facie answer, the surface level answer, is that this is a book. This is a book. Why? Because everything has been encompassed and written in this book. This same Imam al-Mubin has been called in other places, Kitab al-Mubin, has been referred to as Lawh al-Mahfuz, has been referred to as many different names in the Quran, right? In Surah al-Baqarah, actually in ayah number 2, it says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ. That book all the way over there. That one that has the original book, right? Everything is written down over there. So here's basically what's happening. That as you are acting, There is a scroll. It doesn't have to be a scroll, but it kind of helps with the image of that claw. That thing that's wound up, right? Because later on the Day of Judgment, that's going to be unrolled, and we're going to see things. We'll come to that next. But when we see things, and there's that language of things being unrolled, let's now talk about that Lawh al-Mahfuz being unrolled in front of the angels, and gradually being unrolled more and more towards the bottom. So that the angel is reading what is current over there. So that he's reading for this brother, what's happening. He's reading for this brother, what's happening. He's reading for that sister over there, what's happening. He's reading for that sister, what's happening. All the angels who are assigned to us are reading our specific portion of this Imam al-Mubin, Kitab al-Mubin, Lawh al-Mahfuz, reading off of that and then writing our relevant parts into our scroll. That book of everything, وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ, every single thing has been put into that book. That book is talking about the grass, the trees, you, me, everybody who's ever lived, everybody who ever will. Okay, I don't need that when I come to you. I just need my deeds. So the angels are copying, like Surah Al-Jathiyah, ayah number 29 says, my relevant portions and your relevant portions from that master copy, from Allah's book. Allah will then go and say, if you doubt this, here's our book. Compare it. Go ahead. It's okay. You want to compare it? You don't really think that this is happening? You don't think that this is your book? Are you going to deny that these are the things that you did? Okay. Here, we have everything over here. Down to the little grass blades that were moving every single time that you went outside and you decided to do something. Right? We have that ayah in the Quran, right? That there, and perhaps those of you who recite Salatul Khayla in between Maghrib and Isha every night, there's that ayah that we recite from Surah Al-An'am, right? That says that there isn't even a leaf that falls onto the earth except that it's doing so by Allah's knowledge and permission. And it's all written down in that book. Okay, why do I need to have that in my scroll of deeds? When the angel is writing this, by the way, at what time is it right now? 9:41 p.m. Dallas time, right? There happened to be a leaf outside that also fell. I don't care. What am I going to care about that when I'm on trial? And everybody is like looking at me to see what I have to go and account for. So that is all kept in the master copy. My copy has small and big, whatever I did. Okay. Now that we've talked about the scrolls of deeds and the xeroxing and the copying of deeds, now I want to talk about how exactly do we see deeds? See, there are some ayat, for example, the one that I kind of butchered at the beginning, again, apologies, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَى وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَى. For those of you who know Surah Al-Zalzalah, the 99th surah of the Quran, these are the final concluding ayat, right, towards the end, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you do even an atom's worth of good, you'll see it. And if you do even an atom's worth of evil, you'll see it. Note over here, brothers and sisters, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not say that you will see its reward. He says you'll see it. What does that mean? There's another ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that وَوَجَدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا, Surah Al-Kahf, the 18th surah. And this is ayah number 49 for those of you who want the address of where this ayah lives. Surah number 18, ayah 49 says, وَوَجَدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا. Everything that they did, they will find standing in front of them, looking at them. Now we've already seen, in the questioning of the grave, we've seen in the, barzakh, where there's a personification of our deeds coming. Is this the same thing? Or no, is it a little bit differently portrayed over here? It's a little bit differently portrayed over here, and I haven't got the time to go through all of the ayat and the arguments, but basically, this is not even just a video camera, a roll of you seeing everything that you did. Because even if you take our modern court system into account, fine, back in the day you needed 4 witnesses in Islamic court, right? Now, for example, you have video evidence, and that can pretty much lock up a person, or they can set them free. But there might still be someone who can still deny that, no, that's not me. Or they can come and say, no, I didn't do that. possible, right? You can imagine. But is it possible, and I'll give the current moment that we're in right now as the example. Can I deny that I am talking on a minbar right now? Can I deny it? No. Maybe I can later on come and say, if I forgot or something, no, I wasn't speaking, in 2023 in Dallas. I think I was speaking somewhere else, right? But right now, as I'm in Dallas, on July whatever of 2023, there's no denying that as I speak, am speaking. Can I deny it right now? No. Can any one of you deny that you are in this room listening at the current present time? No, you can't. Maybe later on, you can come and say, I wasn't really paying attention, maybe I was somewhere else, I was thinking about what's happening in Australia or somewhere else, my mind was somewhere else, but you are sitting here right now, and you cannot deny that. What does this have to do with Yawm al-Qiyamah and seeing our deeds? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَوَجَدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا, it doesn't just mean that you'll be seeing the deed happening. And when Surah Al-Zalzala says, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ, if you did any little itty-bitty piece of good deed, you'll see it. No. It also means, and again, I'm not going through all the proofs and all the philosophical arguments, it means you are actually doing it right now. It means at that moment, metaphorically speaking, you will have stepped into that scroll, and you will be doing it again. You will be doing whatever you're doing at your work. You will be doing whatever you're doing at home, with your family, in private, in public. Whatever you are doing right now, it'll be replayed in such a version that you in Yawm al-Qiyamah will step back in and you'll be doing it. And at that moment, Allah will ask, why are you doing this? Can you deny it at that point, that you weren't doing it? Some people here will try, and we'll come to this in a little bit, when we talk about witnesses. Because some people who will try to deny it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will silence their tongue, and He will bring in their body parts. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلم أيديهم وأرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. Right? That their tongues will be silenced, and their hands, their feet, their skin, all of these things will start testifying if those people really, really try to be stubborn. And we'll come to that, inshallah, in a couple of moments. But now, if this is how we're going to be witnessing our deeds, where we're actually doing it, then we don't really have any excuses. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا. No. The human being over himself is enough of a witness. He knows what he's doing. In other verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will go and elaborate more on this, but the point has been made. That we'll all be actually doing whatever we were doing here, again, over there. And you know how like the Western phrase goes, that they were caught in the act? This is caught in the act. Where whatever sin you were doing, you'll be caught in front of everybody and asked by Allah. And we'll come to who does the asking. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Who told you you could do this? Was this something that Allah wanted? Do you deny doing this? All these questions will be asked. See, some people have the question, and this has been asked, that if we're going to be asked already in Barzakh, what's the point of being asked on Yawm al-Qiyamah? Barzakh, that questioning is the very easy question. It's like, just the headers of all the things, the headers of the subjects. This is going to be every single detail in depth. Think of it, if any of you have ever gone to Canada or Mexico or any other country, right? They have customs and immigration, right? There's a couple of questions that they'll ask you right at the border, right? Like, how much cash are you carrying? Do you have any weapons? Do you have any tobacco? Do you have any, are you bringing any gifts? Those kinds of things, right? The equivalent of that at the start of our journey, which is kind of the border, right? Barzakh. When they are asking us, they're going to ask us those preliminary questions of, okay, man rabbuk, man, nabiyyuk, mada, dinak, mada qibla, all these questions of who is your Lord, who is your messenger, who are the imams, what was your qibla, all these kinds of things. Those are just the preliminary things, and then, you know, whether the border patrol lets you through into the country or not, that's up to Munkar and Nakir. We didn't mention this, but I should mention this right now. Not everybody goes to Wadi Salam, not everybody goes to Wadi al-Baqut. Some people are just kept in this state of suspense, and they're worried what's going to happen to me, but they're just stuck in their graves. These are the people who are the average. They're not too bad, they're not too good. They're just scared in their graves and they don't know what's happening. The other thing that I wanted to mention that I haven't been able to mention 2 nights in a row now, even though I keep on reminding myself, I will mention this, I will mention this. Right now, while I mention it before I forget. A couple of people have been asking, dreams. Are all dreams true? Because we said that dreams are the way how sometimes people in Barzakh can come and tell us unnecessary things, right? Depends on what time that you're dreaming. Depends if maybe you've done certain a'mal that might have facilitated and invited that dream. But at least let me talk about timings, right? Very quickly. If you're sleeping, let's say before Maghrib, that's a makruh time to sleep. It's a not okay time to sleep. It's a not welcome, not liked by Allah time to sleep. At that time, true dreams do not come. True dreams come between Isha prayers, the final night prayer, and Salat al-Fajr's adhan. If you see a dream in between that, especially the closer it gets to Salat al-Fajr, the more likely that dream is true. Now, you might not understand it. It's highly, highly recommended in our tradition as Shi'as. Keep a dream journal next to you. Write down everything that you saw. As soon as it happened, go take it to a sheikh who knows what to do with dreams, and then they can go and help you, right? Now, having said that little aside, because I just remembered it, let's get back to our topic of tonight, which is those books of deeds. Those books, we will be acting them out, we will be seeing them, but now I want to get into the main discussion of tonight, which is how are we going to be receiving those deeds? How are we going to be receiving them? That ayah that I started off with in Surah Al-Isra says that we will be presenting that thing that was wrapped around your neck, that ta'ir, we will be presenting it as a book. Okay, cool. Now, how am I going to get that book? Some ayat, like for example in Surah Al-Qari'ah, will say, you know, for example, I'm sorry, not Surah Al-Qari'ah, Surah Al-Haqqa, that فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ. As for the one who has been given his book in the right hand. And this is a wrong translation, but I'm using it on purpose. And then the opposite end would be وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِشِمَالِهِ. As for the one who was given his book in his left hand. What do these two mean? Some have said that this means literally your right hand or your left hand. But I have a question. And probably some of our younger brothers and sisters have the same question. Okay, fine, if the angel goes and tells me, hey, go and put it. I mean, especially probably the adults who were, you know, maybe in Pakistan or something like that. When the teacher would go and tell, or maybe those of you who came from Pakistan, if they went and told you to put your hand up, you knew that you were going to get a ruler coming down to hit you, right? Some kind of a penal code, some kind of a punishment, right? Here in America, that's illegal. But, you know, in Pakistan, those of you who are smiling, you know what I'm talking about, right? What's to stop me if the angel goes and tells me, put out your left hand, just before he goes and gives me the book, I'm like, here you go, I'm going to go and put my right hand out. What's to stop me from doing that? Like, are they going to be holding my hand back or something? Like, why can't I go and put my right hand out? It's a fair question, actually. Here, we have to understand that Yamin and Shimal have 3 different meanings in the linguistics of Arabic. One means the literal right and left hand. Okay, that's pretty easy. Number 2 means your strong side and your weak side. This one, I have yet to come across a tafsir that actually thinks this is the tafsir. So let's just throw this one away. The final one is through your righteousness and through your wretchedness. This one Allah wants to go into a little bit more depth. So now follow along with me. What does exactly this mean? He says that there are clues in the Quran that it shows that it can't be the literal right and left hand. Why? Because there's another ayah in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will go and say, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ right? For example, for سوف يحاسب حسابا يسيرا. But then the other ayah, and this is in Juz Amma, where Allah will go and say, وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ وَرَاءَ ظَهْرِهِ. How many of you have read that ayah, where you will be given the book behind your back? Okay, so behind your back now is being given as the opposite of being given, again, wrong translation, in your right hand. Here, brothers and sisters, I'm going to ask for your heightened attention. بعد الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. Let's have the brothers as well as the sisters make a little bit more room for those who are coming in. We have a couple more people who are coming in. Brothers who are in the other room, please come into this room and join us over here. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Let's have two more loud salawat in honor of Allah Abdullah and Hussein alayhi salam. So now, we've been given opposites, right versus left, as well as right versus behind my back. Wait a second. How am I supposed to reconcile this? Here, we're going to have to look a little bit into Arabic grammar. It's not too hard, bear with me. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word or the letter ba, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ. See that ba over here? Pay attention, guys. We made this exact same distinction yesterday when we were saying He wants to make things easy on earth through us. Right? In the ayah of fasting. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمْ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمْ الْعُسْرَ. He wants through you. Be can be translated as either in or through. But if I put something in my hand, that's something different from through my hand, right? In English, is anybody confused? No? Okay. Now if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying be, which one am I supposed to translate it as? In or through? The rule of thumb is if you see a verb, then you have to translate it as through. If you don't see the verb, you translate it as in. This is why some people, they differ in their translation of Bismillah. That be over here, does it mean in the name of Allah? Or is there a hidden verb, I start, and then I start through the name of Allah. I start with the name of Allah. That's for the Mufassirin to go and debate amongst themselves. But, not yet. So now, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ. Utiya is a verb, and be is used. So which one are we going to use, brothers and sisters? I want to hear at least some voices responding to the question. Am I going to use with or through? Through, right? Does anyone disagree? I heard one person, so that's why I'm asking if there's any disagreement. Okay, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now, if it's going to be through your right hand, is there this be also used with behind the back? No, it's not. So now we have to understand the opposite of through your right hand is through your left hand. Okay. Sometimes, actually a lot of times, Quran will do this, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a half equation. He'll give you A and He'll give you D. Sometimes He'll give you A and then its opposite is B. Sometimes He'll give you A and its opposite is D. Here's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did. He gave you A through your right hand, and then He gave you D, its opposite, which is behind your back. So follow along with me. We know that the opposite of through your right hand is through your left hand. Here, we don't have a through for your behind the back, right? So this is literal. It'll actually be behind your back. What's the opposite of behind your back? From your front. So now we know that every time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually is saying through your right hand, He means from your front. And anytime He says bishimalihi, through your left hand, and anytime the Imams are saying this, we're going to take this to mean behind your back. So, it actually doesn't matter which hand. Remember, brothers and sisters, my young brothers and sisters who were saying, why can't I just go and put the other hand really quickly before I go and get my book? Some of our ulama have said that the bad people, both of their hands are left hands. Doesn't matter which hand it goes in. Because they did bad deeds, just as much with their right as they did with their left. And the good people, they did good deeds just as much with their left as they did with their right hand. So both of the good person's hands are right hands, both of the bad person's hands are left hands. But where you will actually be receiving your book from, that's going to be from either your front or your back. And here, brothers and sisters, there's a very important ayah that I'll be bringing to your attention, and that is from Surah An-Nisa, ayah number 47. And so what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say here in ayah number 47? He says to the people of the book, now obviously it's not just the people of the book. If he's talking to the Jews and Christians, what? There's no lesson for me? Of course there's a lesson for me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "O you who were given the book, believe in what we have sent down, confirming what is with you, before we erase and blot out your faces, and we turn them backwards." Okay, two things are happening over here. Both of them, neither of them are metaphorical. Both of them are in reality happening. Your faces will be erased, the disbelievers, as well as heads will be turned. Why? Those heads will be turned because their focus this entire time was on dunya. Their face, their heads will be facing towards dunya, their bodies will be facing this way. Now, the next question is, well, who's going to be giving these books? There's an ayah in the Quran that says that Fir'aun is an imam. He did not help his people. Instead, he will be leading them to hell. Okay. So there are bad imams and there are good imams. What does it mean through your righteousness and through your wretchedness? That means your goodness will be rewarded by who gives you the book. So inshallah, all of us will be qualified to receive our book through the imam of our time. But the bad people, they might be given their book through someone like Fir'aun. Fir'aun's head will be turned backwards, their heads will be turned backwards, and there's another ayah, again in Surah Al-Isra, where it says that those people who will be given their books through their imams, يَوْمَ نَدْعُ كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامِهِمْ, again that B is used, and they will be given their books through their righteousness, they will be happy. But as for the people who are bad, they will be blind in that world. So they're blind, they're looking around, where can I get that book? Mr. Fir'aun, can you give me my book, please? Fir'aun is also like, I don't know where to give you your book, I'm also blind. The angels are like shoving it into their hands, like, here, go and give this person their book. But for us, inshallah, all of us, the imams of Ahlul Bayt will be the ones who are giving us our books. This all depends, brothers and sisters, on whether we did right or wrong over here and whether we follow them or not. Because if we're not going to be following them, how are we going to be raised with them? If we weren't following them, we're not their ma'moom, right? Surah Yasin, why was it called Imam al-Mubin over there for that book? Because the Imam leads and the ma'moom follows. The ma'moom are all of the individualized, copied notebooks that the angels are writing. They're following that Imam book. That's why it's called Imam al-Mubin over there in Surah Yasin. Similarly over here, if we are not going to follow the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, how are we going to be raised with them? We're going to be raised with whoever we actually did follow. Just like over there in the grave, we actually did blurt out who our real God and our real messenger that we followed and our real leaders were. So now, if that much is taken care of, then all that's left now for me to really expound tonight. Hopefully everybody, I know this is heavy. Hopefully everyone's following along. I want to request with the loud salawat that everybody, if you could please move up. We are still getting more people coming in. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It's okay if you come over here to this, just come closer. So finally now, we're going to be talking about the witnesses. Because the witnesses, where do the witnesses come in? And we'll touch a little bit towards the beginning of tomorrow's presentation as well, because tomorrow we're going to be talking about the scales of deeds, mizan. But tonight, those witnesses. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Nisa, ayah 41, how will it be then when we bring from every nation a witness? And we bring over them you as a witness. Okay? So now from every single time, every single community, every single nation, they're all going to have their own witnesses, and over them, Rasulullah is going to be a witness. And another ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that surely we will question those to whom the messengers were sent, and we will also question the messengers. In another ayah, Allah will go and say that the prophets and the witnesses are brought forward. First, everybody's going to be quiet and silent. Then from these, the messengers and the witnesses will be extracted. And say, you guys come over here, you guys are going to be witnesses. Why do we need witnesses? Because as I said earlier, that there will be some people who will try to deny, no, this isn't mine. So there had to be someone at all times who could be a witness. What does a witness mean? A witness means that they actually were able to see everything that you did. And there are some ayat that go and say, so then go ahead and work. Keep on doing whatever a'mal that you want. In Surah Al-Tawbah, ayah 105. Keep on going and working. Allah will see your a'mal. وَرَسُولُهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. So now here's the question the Imams ask. The Imams ask this question about this ayah. Can you all, inshallah you guys are all believers, can you guys see each other's actions? Not just the actions, can you see the intentions behind it? Can you see all the mechanics and all the variables? No, you can't. So who does this ayah refer to? The Imams say it refers to us, Ahlul Bayt. We, along with Rasulullah, we can see your actions. Every Monday and Thursday, your actions are given to us. We take your actions and we take it to Rasulullah. Rasulullah takes it and he takes it to God. Every Monday and Thursday, your actions are reported. Not just this year or last year or back at that time. What's tonight? Saturday? Our next, audit is Monday. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also comes and says, the day that we will gather the messengers and say, this is Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah 109. What was the response that you received when you came and gave your message? They'll say, you don't know. You know better. Right after this, Isa alayhi salam is asked, did you ever tell people to worship me and my mother? And he's like, you know that I didn't. But you know better. And I mean, just imagine Christianity as a whole is watching Isa himself say, nope, I never claimed that, nope. Please, save me. And if you want to save them, they're your ibad, but if you don't, totally up to you. Completely shattering their worldview, right? Now, what we learn from here is that other prophets, they will be asked by Allah, did you do your job correctly? And when they're asked for a witness, they'll ask for Rasulullah, because the Quran says, you are a witness over them. They'll say, Rasulullah, didn't we do our job? Yes, you did. Meaning, for those who want to deny that Rasulullah is, has been existing since the time of, before Adam and this and that, and he's been watching all of us, what do you have to say to these ayats? Ayat, not hadith, ayat. Such that when the messengers are being asked by Allah, did you do your job correctly? They'll come to Rasulullah and say, can you, also witness for us? Then we have some ayahs after the other prophets where the Imams, each of those prophets will ask their successors. So Musa will ask Joshua the son of Nun. Joshua the son of Nun will ask, or Musa will ask Caleb, these successors of Bani Israel. But now here's the question, who did the Imams of Ahlul Bayt report back to? They report back to Rasulullah himself. And we have proof for this in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 143, that they are the middle nation, so that they could be witnesses over the people and Rasulullah will be a witness over them. Here the Imams ask, do the Muslims think that they are the people who are going to be witnesses over the people? There are some people in the Muslims who, when you go and just do groceries, and you buy tomatoes and potatoes, and you come back and you're like, hey, I bought this many potatoes and you took this much money for them? No. So you're going to not take their testimony over here. You can't trust them over here, but on Day of Judgment when everybody's watching, you're going to take their testimony. You can't even trust them with a few vegetables. But over there, you want to go and trust them with all your deeds and actions? Come on, man. The true people who are over here, the middle nation, who are witnesses over here, they're us, Ahlul Bayt. These are the same people, by the way, who in Surah Al-Hajj, when Prophet Ibrahim says, who was sammakum muslimin min qabl wa fi hada. Fi hada wa min qabl, right? In this and also before. لِيَكُونَ الشُّهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ, so that you could go and become witnesses over the people, and the Rasul could become witnesses over you. Here the Imams also say that we are witnesses over people. And Rasulullah is witness over us. And this is also where we find Surah Al-Imran, ayah 110, that says, كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ. Why are they the best people, Ahlul Bayt? Because they actually do. They are constantly تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. Everybody else, even within the Muslim Ummah, can't say that for sure. These are the true people who are the best of Ummahs. And then finally, brothers and sisters, the final witness. Or actually, there will also be body parts. I mentioned that Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, we said that look, the body parts will also testify on Yawm al-Qiyamah. But do they testify for everybody? When we read this in, for example, Surah Al-Fussilat, when we read it in Surah Al-Yasin, does it happen to everybody? Well, it's not for me to say or not say. We have to go to our Imams. What does the Imam say in Al-Kafi? Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam says, the organs and limbs will only testify against those who deserve divine punishment. Whereas the believers, they will receive it through their right hand. Now, we know what through your right hand means, Imam. Thank you very much. It means we'll be receiving it through you. We won't have to go through this whole entire denial and then the organs testify and then the limbs testify. None of that. That's only for those people who are going to be held out. Meaning, if they want to go and deny, what does that already tell you? That they're going to be going towards hell. And that is why, brothers and sisters, there is a final witness as well. And this is the final, they're going to be brought in as supplementary witnesses as well. And these are things that we find in our hadith, like for example, the day of Jum'ah. If you come and pray in Jum'ah prayers, the day of Jum'ah will witness for you that you were there. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says that each and every single day when daybreak comes, when dawn comes, it says, and this is not metaphorical, these things have a way of talking, we can't understand them, that everything does its own tasbih. What does it say? When the day comes, it says that I will never be seen again by you, and you can never recover me. Therefore, if you do good, and you worship Allah, and you obey Allah in me, I will come on the day of judgment, and I will come and give testimony for you. I will give witness for you. But if you come and disobey me in this same day, I will come and be your worst enemy, I'll be your worst nightmare, I'll come and testify against you. So we know that days, including the day of Jumu'ah, can be witnesses against us. We know that, for example, other times, like the time of Eid, did you come and pray Eid with the people? Muḥarram, these 10 days, Hajj, Arafah, places can be witness for us. The place of Arafah is a witness for us. This is why also, by the way, we have hadith, just like our brothers in Ahl Sunnah have, that when it's time to pray your nawafil prayers, your mustahab prayers, those prayers that are not the wajib fard prayers, they went and asked the Imam, should we go and pray these all in one place or should we pray them in multiple different places? The Imam said, pray them in as many places, go to different places and pray in as many places as you can, so that different places of earth can come and testify for you that this abd of Allah came and prayed over here on my surface over here. And that's why, brothers and sisters, even those who were not present on the 10th of Muḥarram, that 10th of Muḥarram day will have a lot to say. Not just against the perpetrators against Imam Hussein alayhi salam, but the lovers of Imam Hussein as well, and even those who were not present. Tonight, I want to commemorate two personalities. One of them is Amr ibn Janada al-Ansari, or Amr ibn Junada al-Ansari, depending on which way the harakats are in the Maqtal. This person, Amr ibn Junada, an hour or two before, in the Maqtal, in the battlefield, his father had passed away and he was killed in Karbala. And he comes up to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and he says, it's now my turn. Please give me the permission so that I can also go and defend you, Ya Abu Abdullah. Abu Abdullah says to this young boy, Amr ibn Junada, and he says to his companions as well, he says, look at this young boy, he's so brave, but perhaps his mother will be left alone and there will be no one left after him to go and help around the house. If I could request maybe someone from the back to just dim the lights a little bit. Sallu ala Muhammad wa This Amr ibn Junada is a little bit heartbroken when the Imam does not give him the permission to go out into the battlefield. He says, go and ask your mother, and if your mother says yes, then okay, we'll see you. He goes to his mother and says, Imam Hussein has not given me permission, even though I want to go and I want to defend my Imam and I want to be there on the Day of Judgment amongst his supporters. The mother says, how is this? She comes to Imam Hussein and says, how can you go to your mother and you've given everything that you have? How am I going to stand in front of Lady Fatima and I'm going to be able to say, yeah, my son was safe while your son went and gave everything that he had? I can't do that. I cannot even imagine going to that hashr, to that maidan of Yawm al-Qiyamah and not having an excuse. No, you have to let my son go as well. Imam Hussein says, fine. If this is what you are also okay with and the boy wants to go, let him go. This boy does not have armor. He does not have proper, the proper tools for war. But he goes in and it seems that he's composed a poem. What's that poem, brothers and sisters? He comes and says, Amiri Hussein wa ni'mul amir. سرور فؤادي بشير نذير علي وفاطمة والدا فهل تعلمون لهم من نظير? He says, Hussein is my leader, and what an excellent leader. Brothers and sisters, what an amazing role model this young boy is. Can you imagine if the Imam of your time comes? Just imagine for a second right now. There's a dream that one of our ulama said came to him, and he was there, and he's one of the reciters of Karbala, on the mythos. And he comes and says, I found myself there in the actual battlefield hundreds and thousands of years ago, next to Imam Hussein, and I was defending that Salat al-Dhuhr where they were praying Salat al-Khawf, and it was my job to defend from the arrows. What does this person say? He says that I saw one arrow coming towards me, and as it got closer and closer to me, I saw, oh my God, this is death, and I just went in, closed my eyes, and I went and moved a little bit out of the way. Oops. It hit someone in the army of Imam Hussein. Was it Abbas? Was it Imam Zain al-Abidin maybe? Was it Imam Hussein alayhi salam? The Imam says, it's okay, just catch the next one. And they go back to their prayer. Next one comes, and I dodge the other way, because I'm so scared of death. The Imam catches it again, says, he doesn't say anything to me. The third one comes, the Imam goes and puts his hand on my shoulder. He says, don't ever say, Ya laytana kunna ma'akum fanafuza fawzan azima. Don't ever say this if you don't mean it, that we wish that we were with you so that we could go and, attain that marvelous victory alongside you. If you're not ready for the actual heat of that iron on your neck. If you're not ready for those arrows to pierce you and cause some pain, physical pain. If you're not ready to lose everything that you have, don't say this. If you're a coward, then we already gave that chance for those people who want to leave in the middle of the night. If you're here, then actually do your job. Defend me until I have to go out into the battlefield. He woke up and he started crying. Brothers and sisters, this young little boy, after seeing his own father die, imagine your own father, just an hour ago, died. Would you even be here in this majlis, remembering Imam Hussein? Be very courageous and brave if you are. But that young man, he came and said to Imam Hussein, please let me go, let me be there to represent you, and let me die in your cause. That boy comes with that poetry and he says, my prince, my leader is Hussein. And what an excellent prince he is, what an excellent leader. The secret to the happiness of my heart is that he is my Bashir and Nadir. He's the one who gives me glad tidings that I have won, and he's my warner. Meaning if I'm with him and I die with him, isn't it obvious where I'm going to end up on Yawm al-Qiyamah when I'm getting my book? I'm going to be getting it through Imam Hussein. What a beautiful vision. That young boy is congratulated at that graduation of Yawm al-Qiyamah, and Imam Hussein is the one giving him his book. It says, Ali wa Fatimatun walida. With the likes of parents like Ali and Fatima, فَهَلْ تَعْلَمُونَ لَهُمْ مِنْ نَذِيرٍ? Do you know anybody who can be better than these kinds of people? He goes into the Maidan of Karbala and he gives everything he's got. Unfortunately for him, even though he's such a young boy, he's so brave, he's able to, in one-on-one combat, finish off many of the enemies. Because the lovers of Ahlul Bayt, they took this defense seriously. They trained their kids to physically be able to defend their imams. And one-on-one combat, he was able to survive. It's when they became cowards and they surrounded him. And they started pelting him with stones as if he was a kafir. This young boy. And they go and kill him like this. That's when he was finally overpowered. The other person, brothers and sisters, that I want to remind you of on a night like this, who the 10th of Muḥarram will no doubt give a huge testimony to, and that is the mother of Abu Fadl Abbas, none other than al-Baneen. Much after the Arba'een, after Imam Hussein's son, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, comes into Medina, he's met on the outskirts of Medina by a poet by the name of Bishop. He says, "Oh Bishop, your father was a poet. Are you also well versed in poetry?" He says, "Yes, Ibn Rasulullah." He says, "Then I want you to take this news that I'm about to give you and go into Medina. Tell them that Hussein died thirsty. Tell them that Hussein's head and the head of Hussein's companions were on spears. Tell them that no one else will have their body trampled, because they all had some kind of family to go and tell them, stop, don't do this to our family members. But it was my father who fell under the horses' hooves, under the horses of Banu Umayyah's army, under those sharpened hooves of Umar ibn Sa'ad, where my father, his ribs were crushed under the hooves of Karbala's horses and Karbala's heat. Go and tell all of these people." And so Bishop came into the streets of Medina and he used this ayah and said, "Ya ahla Yathrib la muqama lakum." The ayah of Surah Al-Ahzab. They're all opening up their windows. "Bishop, what's happened? Why do we not have the authority to stay in Medina anymore? Why don't we have the honor to stay in Medina anymore?" He says, "The news will be given at the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam." He goes like a town crier through all of these streets, saying, "Oh, people of Yathrib, there is no room for you left in Yathrib. Get out of your city." And he says, "Meet me at the grave of Rasulullah." They all meet him at the grave of Rasulullah and they say, "Bishop, what is it? What is the news? Do you have news of Hussein? Where is Zainab? Where is Ali ibn Hussein? Where are all of these people who are the honor of our city? It's been months since we've seen them. Remember, Imam Hussein left in Rajab. Where are they? Do you have any news of them?" He says, "Yes, I have news of them. Hussein ibn Ali was killed on the river of Furat. He was killed in broad daylight and there was no one to help him. Afterwards, his head was severed from his body, and even the 6-month-old baby was killed. And after Imam Hussein was killed, they went and started fishing with their spears into the sands of Karbala so that they could find the body of this 6-month-old baby, and they could complete the count of the heads that they have on their spears. Even the 6-month-old baby was decapitated and put on the head of a spear, and then each of these heads were marched from Kufa to Sham. And what about the body? Oh, Bishop, don't ask me about the body. The body had the worst fate of them all. Umar ibn Sa'ad said, "Oh, horse riders of the 10th of Muḥarram, sharpen the horse hooves of your horses, and all riders go and ride and crush the bones of Abu Abdullah." You find the entire state of Medina is fully in tears. They're in shambles. And lo and behold, one lady had not come to the grave of Rasulullah. Bishop comes and sees, who is this lady? Because the lady does not leave her house that much. They say, "Oh, Bishop, be careful. This is the wife of Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is the mother of Abu Fadl al-Abbas and his brothers. This is Baneen." He says, "Who's that young child who she's carrying?" That is Fadl ibn Abbas, because Abbas is Abu Fadl al-Abbas. Be very careful how you break the news to her, O Bishr. Al-Baneen now comes to the blessed grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Bishr is thinking, how am I going to break this news? How am I going to break this news now to this woman, this member of Ahlul Bayt? He says, okay, the way how I'll do it is I'll go and tell her maybe a little bit about her family and what happened to them on Karbala. He says, عَظَّمَ اللَّهُ لَكِ الْأَجْرِ يَا أُمُّ الْبَنِينَ بِمُصَابِ وَلَدِ عَبْدِ اللَّهِ. My condolences to you, O al-Baneen, the youngest of your sons, Abdullah, was killed in the plains of Karbala. She says, oh Bishr, I don't care about my youngest son. Tell me about Hussein. He's my son. Is he okay? Where is he? He's my Imam, my Mawla. Bishr is still trying to go and soften the blow. He says, عَظَّمَ اللَّهُ لَكَ الْأَجْرِ بِمُصَابِ وَلَدِكَ Uthman. My condolences to you on the loss of your son Uthman. Even he was killed, your second youngest son. She said, I didn't ask about him, Bishr. I asked about Hussein. Where is Hussein? He says, oh, my master, al-Baneen, my condolences to you for this son of yours, Ja'far. Even he was killed on the plains of Karbala. She says, I didn't ask about him. Bishr, tell me, where is Hussein? He says, عَظَّمَ اللَّهُ لَكَ الْأَجْرِ بِمُصَابِ بِالْفَضْلِ الْعَبَّاسِ. Oh, al-Baneen, even your eldest son Abbas was killed in Karbala. Hearing this, al-Baneen dropped the child that was in her arms and she falls to her knees. She says, how could this happen? How did Abbas die? She says, they cut off his right hand. They cut off his left hand. They took an iron pillar and they smashed his head. Al-Baneen is finally recomposing herself and she says, even Abbas, I did not ask you about Abbas, I asked you about Hussein. Tell me, where is Hussein? Oh Shīʿā Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, عَظَّمَ اللَّهُ لَكُمُ الْأَجْرِ بِمُصَابِ أَبِي عَبْدِ اللَّهِ الْحُسَيْنِ قُتِلَ حُسَيْنَ عَطْشَانًا عُرْيَانًا عَلَى شَطِّ الْفُرَاتِ. My condolences to you all, Shīʿā Imam Hussein. That Hussein was killed, hungry, thirsty, robbed of his clothes, so close to the Shatt al-Furat, to the Nile, to the Furat river's banks, and he was still killed thirsty. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Raise your hands, brothers and sisters, in the dua. These are the blessed nights where all of our du'as, inshallah, have the potential of being answered. Think of all of your marhumeen. Think of all of those dunya and akhirah problems that you have. Anybody who you have in the hospital, any of your friends who may have passed away, any of your current troubles in job, in deen, dunya and akhirah. Keep all of these hajat in your mind, and with me recite in the loudest of your voices the holy ayah of the Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Amma yujibul لقضاء الحوائج. أما يجيب لشفاء المرضى. أما يجيب لتعجيل الفرج. أما everybody louder, louder, last time. أما يجيب. Oh Allah, we ask you through your holy virtuous names, بسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأكرم, 10 times all together. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا إلهي بفاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها اكشف عنا السوء يا الله. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا كفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار يا الله. اللهم بباب الحوائج أبو الفضل العباس اقضي حوائج المؤمنين والمؤمنات يا الله. شاف وعافي جميع مرضى المؤمنين يا الله، على الخصوص من أوصونا بالدعاء منهم يا الله. اللهم اجعلنا وذريتنا من إمام المتقين إمام الحسين، من شيعة إمام الحسين المتقين يا الله. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا كفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار مع محمد وآله الأطهار. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج واجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك louder حافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا
حتى تسكنه ويزكاته وتمتعه فيها طويلا
برحمتك يا